I'm now going to ask the General Secretary to give his report to conference. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairperson, delegates, Taoiseach, ministers, deputy senators, delegates and friends. It is with a great sense of pride that I submit to you my first report as your General Secretary this evening. You will give me, I hope, a little bit of personal pride in succeeding a long line of General Secretaries that have served this party so well over 100 years, and a particular pride in succeeding Ita McAuliffe, my great friend and a wonderful colleague who has served this party with distinction for over 40 years. And led our staff for the last 6 years. I'm glad to report, like in the Vatican, there are now 2 popes in head office, and Ita is staying with us, I hope, for a long time to come. My overwhelming pride, delegates, however, is not in my own appointment, but in how much we, the members of this party, have achieved over the last 25 years since I joined this party in 1989. 1989 will seem to some delegates like a long time ago, and to some of us just like yesterday. Much was very different then. Charles J. Haughey was in government buildings as Taoiseach. He wasn't half as entertaining in real life as he seems to be on television. Far less Tony Soprano and far more Enver Hoxha. Much is similar to today. Margaret Thatcher was in Downing Street, where she seems to still reign again, soon to end, we hope. It was the early days of the first George Bush's presidency, and the idea of Barack Hussein Obama occupying the White House seemed like a far-flung fantasy. Gerry Adams led Sinn Féin, of course. He then too denied membership of the Provisional IRA, and that year they shot and killed 3 innocent Protestant men standing outside a garage in Cork in County Tyrone, and murdered 50 others of our fellow citizens. We are, of course, not supposed to mention those events now, but rather to praise Mr. Adams for bringing this barbarism to an end, even though he was never a member of the Provisional IRA. I'll save, delegates, my praise for Dick Spring and John Hume, who worked so hard to end the murder of our fellow citizens. Work that has continued to this day through Eamon Gilmore and now Sean Sherlock and Ivy House, and we take immense pride in their achievements. In 1989, of course, Joe Higgins, Claire Daly and Ruth Coppinger were amongst us, trying to use the Labour Party for their own atavistic ends. We were to throw them out in this town just 2 years later. I'm proud to say I voted to throw them out. Paul Murphy, of course, was not amongst them. He would have been far too young. He was probably throwing his toys out of a pram somewhere at the time. But I'm sure it was a wonderfully appointed pram. Micheál Martin, of course, was then a newly elected Fianna Fáil TD and a loyal supporter of Mr. Haughey. I'm sure he'll thank us for reminding him of that. Not everyone, of course, can take the same pride that we do in our party's past. I suspect if you offered many of us then in 1989 the modern progressive European society that we have today, we'd have happily grabbed it, despite all the problems that remain to be solved. Let alone forget that our society was modernised not by accident. It did not just come about. Rather, the Labour Party was at the centre of it, of every single agonising step as we pulled and dragged this country into the 21st century in the face of often hostile opposition. Our pride is in our success. In 1989, our contraception laws, despite the brave and inspirational work of Barry Desmond as Health Minister, were still frankly anachronistic. The authorities in UCC, where I was a student, went to the trouble of removing an illegal condom vending machine from the student union toilets. Labour, through Brendan Howlin as Minister for Health, was finally to take the state out of people's bedrooms just a few years later. That same government would also legalise divorce and end the criminalisation of homosexuality. We would also pass the first ethics legislation and the Freedom of Information Act. It would be easy for me to go on and to list our many accomplishments in the social and political arena, including those of the current government. These are now seen by many as popular and politically safe issues, even though they didn't feel so at the time, as we were read from altars and famously condemned as wife-swapping sodomites, if only. I don't have many war stories to report from those days, although there was a particularly bemusing incident where I was chased around a church car park by a very irate sacristan. He was fast. For a fat fascist, he was very fast, much faster than me. However much pride we take in our role of modernising our society, nothing should surpass our pride in saving our economy. In providing an economic foundation for a modern, sustainable economy to go with our modern society, this party has fulfilled its purpose, to serve the working people of this country. We took on the task, certain that Labour were needed in government to try and repair our broken country, and confident in our ability to stay the course and see it through. Only with Labour in government, we knew, could this country right itself and thrive again. We knew well in UCD in 2011 what we were taking on. We knew well that we were taking the harder road. We also knew, for Eamon Gilmore told us that day, that we could expect to face a forest of placards at future conferences. All of us in this room have held a placard in our time, and we hold a protester's belief in the right to protest. We did not expect, however, nor should we have had to expect, the wall of vitriol and violence that we have been subjected to by a small undemocratic minority for the last 12 months. For the second time in 25 years, we will leave office after a 5-year term of government with burgeoning growth and falling unemployment. Let's be honest, achieving that on this occasion has been a far tougher task than it was from 1992 to 1997. I have never seen such raw courage and patriotism as I have witnessed from this party's ministers and parliamentary party over the last 4 years. While, as the song says, cowards may flinch and traitors may sneer, our pride in this party's performance over the last 4 years is enormous. We were not founded, comrades, to win elections or to build political careers, but rather to serve the people of this country, the working people of this country, loyally and truly. Mr. Adams boasted recently that while he admittedly was not much good at maths, he claimed, very good at politics. Opportunism won't pay our teachers, our nurses or our guards, nor will populism create jobs. Maths matter in Dublin, in Belfast, and as his friends in Syriza are finding out, even in Athens. Acknowledging that fact means that we must do things not because they are popular or easy, but because they are right and in the long-term interests of our people. This party has done that in spades over the last 4 years and will continue to do so. That said, like you all, I like winning elections. We've won a few together over the last 25 years. We've elected presidents and governments, members of the Oireachtas councils throughout this land. We now face our greatest challenge. With your help, I am convinced that we can take on this challenge, this enormous challenge, over the next 12 months and win. We must, with pride in our achievements and confidence in our ability, take this fight to every doorstep in the country, just as we have for the last 25 years. Never bullied, never bought, never beaten. Labour, with your help and with our determination, can win in 2016. Thank you, delegates.